Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Defining Discipline podcast. I'm your host, Scott. This is episode 362, as well as day 362 of my journey. At the beginning of the year, I challenged myself to run 365 days in a row, all outside, bearing the elements, whatever they may bring. I also challenged myself to run 1,500 miles within this time frame, and to run two big major races as well within this yearly time frame and challenge. One of those races being a 50K ultra marathon trail race. That was the Yankee Springs 50K trail race out in Middleville, Michigan on day 156 of my journey. And I was able to finish that race within 7 hours, 15 minutes, and 22 seconds. And was able to keep the streak alive since that race. That time and that race were both personal records for me. One, the time, and overall just the distance. That was the most I've ever ran in my first official ultra marathon and trail race. So was very excited about both of those. Was expecting a lot quicker time, but ended up with 7 hours, 15 minutes, and 22 seconds, and am content with it. A new goal point to try to beat next time going out there for the next 50K. Now, the next race that came up within this yearly time frame that was a major race was the Detroit Free Press Marathon. That was on day 290 of my journey. And that was a 26.2 mile race that I was able to finish within 3 hours, 57 minutes, and 28 seconds, which was as well a personal record for me. Was very excited about that. That was my first official marathon that I ran. I did run an unofficial marathon in 2020 with my buddy Joe, in which I ran a really slow 5 hour and 22 minute marathon. So being able to go sub 4 was a big feat for me. I was very excited, and yet again have another point in which I can try to aim to do a little bit better now next year. In the next race, I should say. Not even, well, I guess that is next year too. So in the next marathon. So let's actually break down the miles for the day today. Day 362 in a row. Got out there for the day today and put in 4 miles. That put me at 5.5 miles for the week, which put me at 108.7 miles for the month, which put me at 1,684 miles even for the year. So let's focus in actually on these yearly miles real quick. 1684, we have surpassed the 1,500 mile challenge that I've challenged myself to go for this year, which was originally 1,250 that we bumped up to 1,500 miles once we realized 1,250 was too low of a number. So we have surpassed it. We are 184 miles past that 1,500 mile challenge. Had originally planned to shoot for 1,750 right before December actually kicked in. Beginning of December here, kind of had a foot injury that I was dealing with that I wanted to kind of nip in the bud before it got out of hand, and really lowered the miles and kind of cut that out of the picture of going for 1,750. But now we're sitting here at 1,684, 16 miles away from hitting 17 even. I think that is going to be my kind of aiming point here for the last 3 days, is to put in 16 miles in order to obtain that yearly mileage of 1,700 miles even. I think that'd be really cool to do. So looking forward to trying to get that done here in the next 3 days. Other than that, though, let's focus in on these monthly miles of 108.7. And I do want to say so because, or I do want to do that to focus in on them because every single month I challenge myself to run a 100-mile challenge in honor of a charity in which I donate money to, as well as start a coinciding fundraiser to try to raise money and awareness for. So for the first 11 months, raised money for 11 great charities, as well as surpassed all the 100-mile challenges. Now we're here within the 12th month. Surpassed this 100-mile challenge and going to be closing out the year raising money for yet another great charity. December's great charity is St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So if you'd like to donate to this month's charity, you can find the link to do so on the Defining Discipline Instagram story or the Defining Discipline Facebook story, or my personal page's Instagram story, or my personal page's Facebook story. Within those stories, all you have to do is click on the link within them, and it'll open up the actual page where you can make your donations, and all donations that do get made to this cause go directly to it. Facebook is not taking any percentage or portion of your donations. So you donate $100 is going directly to St. Jude's Children's Hospital, even though Facebook is the middleman within the transaction. They've agreed not to take any portion of the transactions. Times are tough though, and not everyone can afford to donate. And if that is the case and you'd still like to help out, click on that share button. It helps out a lot to get as many eyes on it as possible and help raise awareness for these causes. This month's being St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Now, other than that, let's get ready to get into today's actual episode 362. But as always, right before we do so, let's go over today's word of the day for December 28th. And it is insinuate. And insinuate means to imply or suggest in a subtle or indirect way. So that is a good word of the day for the day today. December 28th, insinuate. So, episode 362, day 362, today's theme for today's episode is ego. And I wanted to touch on ego because I've been on both spectrums of ego. I've had lots of self-esteem and self-confidence and felt very important, and I've also felt very unimportant with a lack of confidence and a lack of self-esteem in different stages throughout my life. And I've also felt egoless within my life. Now, I kind of wanted to touch on ego because again, throughout these stages, in one certain stage, and I think this is not even a stage. I think this is something that maybe we all do. I think we all become somewhat egotistical with our own decisions. We like to truly believe that the paths that we're taking are the correct paths, and that the decisions that we're making are the correct decisions. Hence why we make them, hence why we follow those paths. So we have our own egotistical direction that we head in, and something again that I kind of tested the waters with is to kind of let go of that. And what I mean by that is for a while there, I thought all my decisions, like I said, were the right decisions, and I wasn't doing anything wrong. And the reason why successful things weren't happening for me, or I wasn't going in the right direction that I wanted to, wasn't anything that I was doing. It was all outside forces. And it wasn't until I kind of stepped back and let go of that egotistical view of things and kind of said, well, maybe there's things that I'm doing. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe there's things I can work on within my ego and myself that can help me get better results within what I want out of my life. And again, I think that was a huge shift for me over these past few years, was kind of to let go of the ego I had, the ego I knew, of the decisions I was making basically within my life, of where I was heading and what I was doing, how I wanted to do things. And I had to kind of let that go and take a different approach and a different step and a different attack. And again, a lot of it was going against the grain. It was kind of pushing against my own ego. And it got me to where we are here today. 362 days into the year of 2021 of running in a row. Technically 365 days in a row today, officially. I have ran, because I did run 3 days in a row to end 2020 and went straight into 2021 running. So here we are, 365 days officially in a row, 362 days for the year of 2021. But yes, yet again, ego was something I had to kind of let go of and kind of think and kind of step back and look at it again from a different perspective. And that's something I've kind of realized within my life. And there's going to be things within our lives that are going to help boost our ego and boost our own confidence and boost our self-esteem. And these things are good, especially when you've been having a lack of those. And again, which is something like I have said, is I have had a lack of confidence and a lack of self-esteem. And it has been more recent than as of not recent. A lot of my self-esteem and self-confidence that I had was more in my teen and early young adult years, and I kind of lost it and been trying to regain that ego. But again, you can do things that will help build your ego, and that's good for you, especially when you don't have it exactly where you would like your ego. But again, I think ego is something that needs to be balanced as well. You don't want to be so egotistical that again, you think that any decision you make is the correct one, but you also don't want to be so egoless that you have no self-esteem and no confidence to make any decision. You're too scared to do anything. You're too scared to even try, which is kind of where I was at one point. And again, I'm trying to really boost up that confidence level and that ego to get myself to continuously push and push and push and do better and better and better. But again, with these things that you can do to help boost your ego, you also must try to keep the ego in check. You don't want to fill your head up too much and feel that you're unstoppable or whatever the case may be. An example, me just building myself up by saying I have officially ran a year in a row. That's insane to think about, but to again let it build up a little bit, but don't let it all go to your head. I am still human. There are still things that are holding me back. Again, my confidence and my self-esteem. So that little ego boost didn't help too much. So there's still things I need to work on, but keeping my ego in check um, is one of them. Still, again, um, still need to boost my ego a little bit as well, but that's also kind of keeping it in check, trying to get that perfect ego level of self-esteem and self-importance. You don't want to be too egotistical, but don't want to be egoless as well. So that's today's episode 362. Your daily discipline for today's episode is to do the exact same. It is to really examine your ego and um, try to see where you're at on that spectrum of being either egoless or having too much ego and being egotistical. So figure out where you think you may be on that spectrum, and then probably add yourself 5 points up egotistically, because we all like to believe what we're not. But I think we all have um, that little aspect of ourselves where, again, we make our own decisions and we continue to make these decisions thinking we are heading in the right direction and doing the right thing for ourselves, when sometimes outside views and outside people can see things in a different way, in a different light, and maybe the correct light. So your daily discipline is, again, to try to balance yourself, try to balance your ego, where you're not egoless, but you're not egotistical, and try to really, find yourself on that level where you're at ego-wise. Other than that, thank you guys so much. 362 episodes, 362 days. Year is almost officially over. I do apologize for this episode being a little out there, kind of rushing it. Am a little bit out of it as well. Kind of been tired these last few days, trying to get everything together to go into the new year. So 362 days. This is the Defining Discipline podcast. I'm your host, Scott. If you guys can, please give this podcast a like, subscribe, follow, and a share on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and whatever other podcast streaming platform you've been found along and listening on. And until tomorrow, get your daily discipline done. Stay disciplined. Get your donations in for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. And until tomorrow, peace out. Thanks.